in this. And I was able to find a lot of reference, you know, for that particular guy, you know, using other model kits, you know, to see what I'm missing. Because there was a lot of stuff that I was missing that I didn't really understand in the drawing, you know. So then you find these 3D kits, and then there's all, you know, these sorts of things. Bill Salvatore talks about pilfering images off, you know, online and stuff, and so this is one of the first things that I do before I start painting a figure, especially something like this that has a lot of historical detail, is I try to understand the naming of the figure, you know, the type of lancer that this is. He's actually a bugler of this particular unit. And then I look around online to see if there's reenactors that have been dressing up like these guys. In this case, this is a pretty elaborate outfit, so there's really not that many people that dress up. But I found some Russian guys, you know, that were all dressed up. And then I print these out. And then there's some of the horse. I wanted the horse to have a particular look, so I printed. I actually have way more of horses. I have a whole nother stack of horses at with different lighting angles. And then that's the other thing, is then you have to choose what angle to do the lighting. The horse's face on that was a little, I mean, on this particular painted version of this piece, I really did not like the horse's face. So I found all of these images of horse's eyes. If you do a search on Google, you can do like horse's eye. And all of these pictures of horse's eyes will come up. Well, the one I wanted was the white horse, because they have those nice white eyelashes, you know. I had a horse that looked very much like that when I was a kid, and she started out. The interesting thing, if you don't know, is that dapple gray horses, or going the other direction, white horses are born black. Most of them are born black. You won't see any like white baby horses. Very rarely will you see a white baby horse. They're born black, and they gradually turn white over time. And the intermediate process is the dapple gray. And so I had a dapple gray horse, and then in later years she looked very much like that, but she had the most beautiful white eyelashes. And so I was able to find an image with the correct lighting on it to do the horse's face, and I think I nailed it pretty well. If you look at it under the light, it's kind of hard to see at this angle, but I got the eyelashes going. So at any rate, there's more contrast that I want to do on this. I did a demo on this piece last spring, showing how I use the grays, and I use the brown and blue. I guess I can get my paints out now. I use a brown and blue, usually like a burnt umber and an ultramarine blue, but I've been using kind of a real dark blue. My high-tech paint bag here. I was home like for 2 days, so I like went in my room and started grabbing stuff, and I couldn't find a little bag. Yeah, they're falling out. I'm just going to throw them down in this bag. Okay, this is a Dick Blick. I really like the Dick Blick and the Utrecht liquid acrylics. And it actually says matte, and they are matte. They're really great acrylics. And so I've been using that blue, and then burnt umber.
How do those compare with the Vallejo paints? I think you use those too.
Yeah, you know, I like the Vallejos very much, but they are a different kind of acrylic, and they they're called polyvinyl, and they're like the cell vinyls, you know, they used to do the animation cells with. And what I'm finding is that sometimes, like for example, on this one, I probably won't do it on this one because I want to get it done, but I want to go back in with oil paints. And the polyvinyl acrylics, they're not a good ground for the oil paint. They reject the paint. This type of paint, these craft paints, they have a tooth to them. When they dry, they've got a micro surface to them that the oil paint will grab onto. That's much better than the Vallejos. Now that being said, I mix them. you know, this is Flames of War white because I couldn't, for whatever reason, I couldn't find my white, so I had to grab one out of the model kit box. And I mix them, and I'm not having any problems with them. Some people say they do, but I don't know what their deal is. It's not like I mix a lot of these things together. I mean, I'm doing such thin washes and stuff. Everything seems to be compatible to a certain extent. If you were doing, if I was mixing like thickly this stuff, and it might have issues, but like I said, I mean, I'm using such thin washes. So far, these are the ones you get at Walmart for $1. And then I think these are the Dick Blick ones. I think are $2.99 at Dick Blick, and then Utrecht. I can buy them online at Utrecht as well. And then when I'm in New York, there's a Utrecht store that's near where my friend lives that I stay with. So I picked up a few of these. I had a couple of Italian guys traveling with me at MFCA last year, and they were all over these Utrecht ones when we went into the Utrecht store. I think they had to buy a whole other bag to carry all the paints home. Now, why they can't just order, I told them, you guys can order this stuff online, you don't need to be carrying it, but whatever. So, because of my time constraint, like I said, I ran into my workroom and grabbed a bunch of colors and threw them in the bag, so I've got a mishmash. But I'm not worried about it because, as I said, I'm not having any trouble so far with mixing them. And it looks like I did not bring my dark brown. I had a burnt umber that I was mixing with this blue. Maybe it fell out. I was watching Mary Poppins last night. I feel like Mary Poppins. There it is.
Magic bag.
Yeah, that was like the
Yeah,
cutest
but
thing.
they're going
My
next.
4-year-old granddaughter had never seen it, and she was sitting in front of the TV going like this through Mary Poppins. I'm going, oh yay, that's the way I was when I watched it.
Now you have to go see that movie, Saving Mr. Big.
Yeah, I was that was one of the reasons why I wanted to put it on for her. I really didn't think she was going to be that interested in it, but she was like glued. We had to put her to bed because she was falling asleep and everything, so we'll start it up again. Okay, so anyways, I worked on this and I showed how I did the grayscale. I usually use the off-white when I'm doing a gray, mainly because what happens at the very end is I'll add white to pump it up. So if you use the off-white, there'll be much more room for a white highlight later on. The same thing with black. That's why I don't use black, is because I want to reserve the right to have a really dark available to me at the very end. And if you use black to make your gray, it's not going to work out as well. So I use this is why I use my own gray that I mix with color. That way, and then I do kind of try to stay away from using black because it deadens. However, watching Aaron last month, I mean, he just gets really great effects using black. I have black and I use it from time to time, but he's kind of given me the courage to play with it a little bit more. So I might start using a little more black in my colors to give more contrast. But at any rate, that's why I use the off-white or buff or I guess eggshell, whatever they want to call it that week, to get the lighter colors. And then so this is not exactly where I would want it to be to start adding color, but today that's the demo I'm going to do. Is I'm going to show you on the blanket. I went in here, I had 2 days to paint, so on the legging and on the blanket I worked on it to bring it up to a good level so that I can show you what it looks like, how I layer the color in. I layer color just like I do this, many layers. Okay, I'm not as confident as someone like Aaron who just goes in and puts these colors, just lays them in thickly. I don't do that. I paint like an oil painter with glazes. And so it's not, I'm not going to do a completed demo. I'll just give you an idea of what it's going to look like eventually today. And so let me
Depending
look
on
at
your off-white, do you have any preference of a gray or a yellowed off-white?
Well, the white, these off-whites that I've been using tend to be more of like a yellowish parchment color, so.
I mean, there are all sorts of off-whites, that's why I was asking whether
Yeah,
you have a preference
for
for one or it really doesn't make that much difference.
when my hand is grabbing off the shelf, I tend to go with this warmer off-white, and I think maybe because my brain is thinking that, because, as you can see, maybe if I set them both together, so you can see the difference. I would actually consider this as a cooler white, and this is a warmer white. So you're going to get a little more contrast when you finally use the white. I'll go in on the horse and other areas and do some high highlights. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get home now. Now I'm going to put color on certain areas. But I do want to do more contrast on this piece before I finish it up, before I start really putting some color in. I won't put a lot in today, like I said. Now, I really like these apple barrel reds. These are the colors that I use to paint the cape on that Cardinal Richelieu. This one's a new one. These are really great reds. And they have a really good tooth. They take the oil paint over them really well. I don't know that I'm going to have enough time to do that because I really want to finish this particular piece up. It's been on my workbench for 3 years now. I have a lot of stuff that's just sitting there, and my New Year's resolution is to get it done. I've got 3 things in progress right now that I'm wanting to finish up. God, here you go. Thanks for your help. The Dick Blick colors are really great. I love this burgundy red. This is like the greatest dark red ever. You can add blue to that and it makes a really great contrasting purple. This one here turns a little bit muddy. That's why I go with these already pre-mixed dark burgundies. If you add blue to that, it kind of gets muddy looking. Thank you very much. This is my watercolor palette, and I couldn't find my my ceramic one that has multi-holes in it. The ceramic ones for the acrylics I highly recommend, because even if you let it dry in there and go away for a while, you can just use Windex, put Windex in there and go away for 10 minutes and come back and it comes right out. In chunks, but it comes right out. This type of palette, the plastic with the acrylics, there'll be some difficulty cleaning it, and the more they get scratched up, the more they hold the old paint in there. But this is what I have to use. Normally, if I use this palette, I'll put a piece of aluminum foil in there just so that I don't have to clean it. I just pull it out and throw it away. I don't try to save paint.